Now, everybody, we all know about convertible cars, but what about convertible planes, everybody? Yeah, you know what? I kind of imagined this intro to be quite a little bit more funny. Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, let's talk finally about Aloha Airlines Flight 243. I want to show you these pictures right here. I'm pretty sure everyone must have seen these before. This is actually a real incident that happened in 1986, where the roof of a 737-200, actually this one right here, it fell off. It looked like this. Literally, yep, the plane flew for 10 minutes like this and actually managed to land with none of the passengers being dead. And everybody, he was the hero of the whole story, Robert L. Schornsteimer, who managed to totally land this plane. Everybody, let's today talk a little bit about this interesting case. And actually, besides the roof, there were so many more things that was wrong with the 737. This was literally the most broken 737 that had ever, made it to the runway. Yeah. Now for this flight, let's go ahead and spawn, of course, into a fully working 737-200, and let's just kind of recreate this whole case. Right, so let's just imagine this scenario right here. We are on our perfectly working 737-200. We right now have taken off from the island of Hilo. Right, I mean, there's tons of islands here in Hawaii, and we're on our route right now to Honolulu. But who would know we'd ever end up here in Kahului on the island of Maui? Right now we're right here flying along at 24,000 feet. Right here, actually the plane is hand flown by the pilot, but then suddenly, boom. Big boom! And for the rest, we have to switch to the other model right here that has the broken roof. By the way, thanks to Nick from my community who sent this to me. Right, so welcome aboard a broken 737-200 now. Looking good, or not looking good. Now, this is really what happened in real life. The roof just completely went off in the first class section of the plane. The reason for that was metal fatigue, basically. There was poor maintenance done to the Aloha Airlines fleet, apparently, and cracks were not detected that were in the fuselage of this plane, which ended up, tearing the plane apart. Now, this is a big problem. We are at 24,000 feet, which means, of course, rapid decompression. People that are not wearing any seatbelts are, of course, sucked out, which luckily wasn't a widespread issue because the seatbelt signs were on. Wait a second. Aha. There we go, looking good. Unfortunately, though, one of the flight attendants, the purser of the flight, was sucked out, and that was the only fatality on board. And damn, that's a bit hard right now, because on Swiss Air 1, I've never talked about any kind of fatal crashes or anything, and this is my first video about something fatal. That's a bit strange. Anyway, yes, rapid decompression. There is, of course, not much oxygen up here. The first item on the checklist, for the pilots especially, is to put on the oxygen masks. Now, that would have been a bit hard for the passengers, especially in the first class, because they always come out of the roof, and well, the roof is now in the sea, so that's not worked. But I mean, we are at 24,000 feet. You can breathe for a few minutes before you black out. There's a bit of oxygen up here, but that's another story. Things is looking good because the plane is actually continuing to fly quite well. Besides the fact that there is lots and lots of cabling in the roof of the 737, lots of electronics are up here, and they're lost. But that's another story. Plane is flying. The captain on board the plane later said that the plane was still, controllable, but very sluggily. Sometimes going in for, kind of turns that would make him very nervous, obviously, because you've literally lost most of your plane. And especially the most structural part of your plane, the fuselage. But anyway, now the mission, of course, is to get this stupid broken plane landed. So what they did, of course, was cut engine power to idle right here and, go for an emergency descent. And this is where you really want to be careful. You don't want to fly too quickly, even though that's something you would do in an emergency descent, right? But, you don't want to overstress the very broken fuselage. This thing could fall apart any second. That is the main idea behind this. Carefulness describes the approach here quite well. Anyway, it is time to look for an alternative airport here on the island of Maui. And of course, we find that here at Kahului Airport. This maybe come in for a bit of an approach. Now, once again, this whole process here of the plane being literally open did take 10 minutes. 10 minutes, even though I do have to say those were very, very long 10 minutes, I can imagine. I mean, you know, the noise in this cockpit, it's of course not very well implemented here, but the noise would have been absolutely loud. Of course, no communication anymore between the pilots or the ATC because it's just too loud. But everybody, things were going well, and so they are here in this approach. We're coming in for a landing. Actually, we can already see the runway, our little hope in the distance. Now, of course, it's now time to configure the plane for a landing. And this is really where it gets tough for pilots as well. Right now we're stuck in the air. You know, we are not certain about, how the plane will behave when we, for example, put out the flaps. Something we do need for, well, flying. So let's go ahead and start slowly here. Flaps 1. That works fine. Flaps 5. The plane reportedly landed with flaps 5 configuration because, the pilot noticed that going further with the flaps would destabilize the whole flying. Maybe because of the roof missing and stuff. So they stuck with flaps 5 and with around 170 or 180 knots for a landing. Right, and actually we can see our runway coming up in the distance. So it's time to put out landing gear. Right, it is time to put out gear right here. And this is where in real life, there was another challenge because the nose landing gear, according to the plane, wouldn't come out. The indicator system was broken, actually, and that was quite funny. This light bulb right here, which, indicates that the nose landing gear is down, was just broken. Just completely aside from the fact that the roof was off, this light bulb was broken. So the pilots even suspected another case, and that was the landing gear not being down. But it was in the end, so that's not that bad. But literally, it's not only the roof that's off, but it's also just this random light bulb. Great! So, well, you could say about this case so far that it couldn't get worse, but it did get worse. And that was really when the pilots started adding inputs into the engines again. After being on idle thrust, they noticed, oh, for some reason, engine number 1 doesn't work because it was broken. Yes, literally the left engine was broken, and that was because of some debris that flew into the engines and completely damaged the fans. Lamau, not only you have a damn roof missing, but also your engine number 1. But no problem, you've got a second engine, luckily. Let's just try to not stall out into Hawaii. That would be quite strange now. Oh, we are literally stalling out. Come on, more power. More power. See, I wouldn't have made this. All right, let's give full power, trying not to fall apart in midair. That's kind of the thing as well. Right now, really operating with our right engine, now coming in for this runway. I don't even know what kind of stress this must have been for the pilots in real life. Too low flaps. All right, shut up. Plane's complaining about flaps, which, they aren't down. So yeah, this is a bit of a speedy approach as well. And our nose landing gear is apparently broken as well. So everything is broke. This is literally the most cracked up 737 that had ever flown. Great. What a dream. Now let's come in for the airport here. By the way, I did buy a scenery pack for that, so please appreciate that beauty here. All right. Coming for a landing. Maybe make it smooth because, well, what blade difference will it make? All right. What would be strange is overrunning or something. That would be quite weird. Oh, yeah. All right. That is appreciated perfectly on the center line. Quite butter. Even though our plane is broken. Great. All right, things are looking good. Let's just go ahead and quickly brake right here. Of course, evacuation, as you might be able to see in the photos. The evacuation was directly performed on the runway. Now, this is, by the way, another view from the back of the plane. Yeah, it wasn't comfortable in here, but again, all the passengers survived, with the exception of this very badly photoshopped flight. That is a shame. But yeah, great. Look at this. How did this continue to fly? This is truly a miracle, right? Totally so much luck was involved here. With, of course, the combination of lots and lots of piloting skills. So that is very nice. That's been a good landing. So that is great. Like, seriously, this plane was so comedically broken. Like, it's almost funny. It's not broken enough for me, though. Let's go ahead and change. Can we just break some wing off right here? Wing. We go. It's probably not going to show up. Right, here we go. Welcome back to structural integrity. Okay, never mind. Right, we've lost our wing aerodynamically. Good. This is how this could have ended as well. Great. So yes, everybody, Aloha Airlines Flight 243. The miracle of 1988, where it was practically proven that yes, you could turn the 737 quite successfully into an convertible. But something I wanted to find out was where the plane, the 737 that was in this accident, is now. It definitely was written off for sure. The plane didn't ever fly again, did it? I guess it didn't. But it's not even displayed in any museum. The only memorial we kind of have is at Honolulu Airport, you know, honoring the flight attendant, Mrs. Lansing. But that's all that there is in memory of this plane, this flight. So yes, everybody, thank you so much for watching today's video about this very interesting case. And well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, good night.